About 15 years ago, my friend's parents, Steve and Julie, were woken up at 1 a.m. to a very loud thud that rattled the house. Worried that one of the kids had fallen out of the bunk bed, Steve went downstairs to check on them, but all three kids were sound asleep and safe in their beds. Julie told Steve to check the house in case of intruders, so Steve checked the doors and windows before going outside to take a look. After 10 minutes of investigating the noise, Steve came across nothing unusual and went back inside to go to bed. He found his wife absolutely worried sick, and she demanded to know where he had gone and what happened. Confused and tired, Steve told her he found nothing and tried to calm her down before Julie pointed out that it was now 4 a.m. and that he had been missing for 3 hours. Julie had even gone outside to check on him, but he was nowhere to be found and didn't respond to her calling his name. Unable to figure out what happened, they returned to bed and slept until Steve had to get up for work in a few hours. Steve owns a painting business, and a couple hours after working on a house, he noticed his eyes started to feel itchy. Then his eyes started to burn. Then after a couple hours, his eyes burned so badly that he was holding his eyelids open as not to blink because it felt like his lids were sandpaper against his eyes. His employees rushed him to the hospital, and Steve was treated for second-degree flash burns on his eyes. He was told his burns were equivalent to staring at a welder's torch without eye protection for an extended period of time. His eyes were treated, and he was lucky to have his vision fully restored. He is one of the most stand-up guys I know, and the way he told the story gave me the creeps. Dead serious and no explanation for what happened. His wife was there too, and she was visibly upset when he was telling me that story. I had just turned 22, and my parents had sold their house and purchased a place out in the country. On the property, there was a big shed not far from the house that I decided to turn into my place. Now, I felt kind of uncomfortable in the shed sometimes, but my dog kept me company, so it wasn't so bad. Anyway, I had been in there maybe 2 weeks, and one night I'm on the computer with my dog asleep at my feet, and I need to pee, so I get up and go outside to go. It's a beautiful clear night, and the stars were incredible. Next thing I hear is the door slam behind me. I turn immediately and try to open it, but it won't budge. Now from inside the shed, I can hear my dog start to growl. Quietly at first, then louder. Now he's barking, and I'm panicking trying to get the door open. I must mention that I'm 6'5" and well-built, play sports, etc., but even ramming my full weight into the door won't open it, and I'm really panicking now as my dog's barks turn into whines, then whimpering, then silence. And with all my might, I slam into the door and it flies open. The light is off inside now and it's pitch black. It won't turn back on, and I'm in complete darkness. Can't see my dog anywhere, and I stumble around trying to find a torch. Finally, I find it, and pick it up and turn on my torch, and I wasn't prepared for what I'd see next. My dog had literally squashed itself into the furthest, darkest corner of the room, eyes closed, and is shaking violently. I immediately moved towards him, and as soon as I got within reach of him, he leapt into my arms and wouldn't move. I picked him up, and I swear I've never ran so fast in my life. I never stepped foot in that shed again, and my dog wouldn't even go near that part of the property. I don't know what happened in the shed that night, but I'll never forget it. My mother had died some months before. Mom was a religious fanatic, if a hypocritical one, but she was terrified of the devil. I arrived at the farm from Minneapolis to find my sister-in-law playing with a Ouija board at the kitchen table. She was alone, but she said she thought she had my mother answering her via the Ouija board. I suppressed a chuckle as not to hurt her feelings. I mean, my religious mother on a Ouija board. To humor her, I put my fingers on the pointer as well. but there was nothing definitive, and I thought she was subconsciously pushing it. I asked a question I knew my sister-in-law didn't know. If you're really my mother, point to the first letter of your middle name. I expected the pointer to wander aimlessly because she wouldn't know where to push it. Instead, the pointer flew off the board and onto the table as if someone had hit it. My sister-in-law was shocked. She said, "What happened?" I said, "Mom had no middle name. She was always bitter about that." It scared my poor sister-in-law so bad she put the board away.